And there you have it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Globe Conquerors Manila Promotionals, which is a little bit of a road to for our top 3 to 6 teams that came off of the 2018 Bacchus Pro Gaming Series spring season. Earlier, we just came from match 1, where in Archangel getting a triumph over Imperium Pro Team 2-1, but enough of that. We're going to be heading into match 2. Very interesting because we have a lot to talk about. Crazy Apple, I hope you're ready. Naga Esports versus ang bagong break, walang forever, Varsity Esports, formerly known as Varsity X-Rage Esports.
Yeah, and both of these teams, ang laki ng roster shakeup, especially for Naga. Parang buong team roster nila na overhaul. While for Varsity, meron pa rin two members na very familiar to us, but yeah, ang laki talaga ng pinagkaiba na ng rosters nila.
Alam mo, may ko lang rin naisip, medyo interesting na nagkakas ka ngayon, particularly because one of your own talents from the LVL actually gonna be playing for Naga Esports. Pero we'll talk about him in just a bit. Let's talk about the roster first for Varsity Esports. So, gaya nga nang na-mention mo, let's review which players have been maintained. So, of course, we have Lando in the top lane. Probably one of the potential talents that we have. Yung may potential talaga na could go above and beyond. Still getting there, but has shown some pretty good games itong recent PGS. And we also have Liar taking the stage once again. If you recall, for the remainder of yung itong PGS season si Arday ang naglaro. Pero Liar will be coming back once again alongside the gorgeous Shanna.
Yeah. I remember from that BRE team before was, well, BE team now.
Yes.
Lando had a really huge following. In fact, na tawag pa the Lando Army. Shout out sa Lando Army dyan. Also naman for Liar, siya yung nagdo I think the first half ng PGS season.
1/3, half or 1/3.
Yeah, like half or 1/3. Basta yung mga first few weeks, I remember Liar was there in the bot lane along with Shanna. And yeah, you mentioned that Shanna, the ever gorgeous Shanna.
Yes, and in all fairness, may isa pang gorgeous na siyang mga kasama with their 2 new members. Namely, of course, we're gonna be having Varsity Esports' Suneve, or pag universe, Venus. Mas known siya as Venus, by the way. Nung nakakompete sila when Piltover's Finest was still a thing. Alongside Emperor. Not Emperor Esports, but Emperor the player, si Varsity Esports Emperor, who I've actually worked with him before. Quite the another potential talent, gaya ni Lando. And of course, still with them on sub is gonna be XTXP.
Yeah, actually, I was wondering why XTXP was in the sub position. I remember him as one of those really, really good junglers in the PGS. Pero, syempre, pag may mga bagong members, nag-iiba yung mix ng team, nag-iiba yung chemistry. So, probably they have something in store kung bakit nila nilagay sa sub si XTXP.
Hopefully, because in all fairness, itong buong roster ng Varsity Esports, familiar ako sa lahat ng players na to. Whether or not it actually translates to going up against their opponent, it's interesting. So let's head into that because gaya na sinasabi ko, we're looking at players. Interesting na sa matchup na ito na maraming galing sa Piltovers before it was eventually taken off because of the new format that we have. So talking about Naga Esports, interesting turn of events. I'm actually kind of surprised na the team that we've picked as kind of the more prepared teams, which has a massive backing in terms of player support, suddenly has this shuffle with a roster that was mostly from Majestic Casual, another Piltovers team that has time and time again tried to make it into PGS, always fell short. Maybe this could be their time to hopefully make it. Dito na pumapasok yung sinasabi ko na our commissioner probably gonna be proud of one of our talents here because he's Za from a Technological University of the Philippines, Monstrum Prodigium. Saktong-sakto may NPL tayo kahapon. Ngayon si Za, makikita natin ngayon if he could roll with the punches of the pro scene this time around.
Yeah, and Za, if anyone watches or follows the LVL stream, he was one of the best, I think, junglers in the LVL last term.
Right, last term.
Apart, hindi lang in the game, makikita yung
leadership.
Effect. Yung leadership niya, yung influence niya within the team, na siya talaga yung nagli-lead ng team. Kung baga, I would call him siya yung heart and soul of the team.
In all fairness to TUP though, even without Za, they've been doing okay.
Yeah, they've been doing okay na talagang their other members, yung other veteran members nila, si Bam and Navi, have been picking up the slack.
Let's talk about these other members here though, because we also have Okay, IG. I was almost looking at my cheat sheet here. Name of the top laner is Tanky Top. Nang una kala ko, dinidescribe lang ba nito yung pag-roll niya sa top na puro Tanky Top. Yun pala talaga yung IG niya. So, Tanky Top in the top lane. We also have a very familiar player from the LCL naman.
Yes.
Si Henry, also known as HNN this time around. Sana hindi niya maintain yung dati niyang yung dati niyang IGN sa LCN picture head.
Ang natatanda ko sa kanyang IGN dati was Henry.
Okay.
Talagang ginamit niya yung first name niya eh.
Yeah, Henry has been grabe, like season 4, 3 ko pa siya nakikita nung bagong pasok ako sa esports. Consistently at the challenger ladder. Always fell short, like I mentioned, of qualifying for PGS. So hopefully this time around, they could eventually find success.
Yeah, and Henry has been in the collegiate scene, I think since the start ng LCL.
Yep, with University of the East Manila.
Yeah, University of the East Manila. And actually, nag-uusapan nga namin to ni Chisto kanina. I actually played against Henry before. During the time.
How was it?
In the group stages, I remember we were 1-1.
Okay.
Pero due to scoring, lumamang kami sa kanila. That's why we move on to the playoffs, but don't watch the playoffs spots.
Okay. I'll take your word for that. Let's talk about the spot lane here. So we have Keith on ADC. So talagang, this is like full-on Majestic Casual going to Naga Esports. I wonder what happened though in between that, because if you're gonna look at Naga, they've had some pretty good players naman. I mean, you've had, interesting enough, Iconic and Neep from the LCL.
Yeah.
Fresh off their LICC win, heading into the Pro. Pero we'll talk about them a little bit more as we head into the drafting phase. Pero BE versus NE, sino ang mas malakas na E?
Yeah, sino din, siguro like, ang naisip ko pag nakita ko itong BE, naisip ko Blue Essence for some reason.
Oo nga eh. Same. I've been wondering, ba't parang familiar yung BE kanina pa?
So yeah, ito nag-start na yung draft. Both teams finishing up the first round of bans. Varsity Esports has opted to ban Karma, Morgana, and Skarner, habang itong Naga Esports naman have banned Fiora, Kaisa, and the Aurelia, while BE right now, Varsity Esports has just locked in that Ezreal.
You know what's interesting here is that the Karma Morgana, it goes both ways kasi in terms of respectan. Pwede kay Henry, pwede rin kay, okay, I'm not gonna read that reverse, I'm gonna read it for what it really is, Schnitzel. So, usually both Henry and Schnitzel are capable of using these. So, two birds with one stone itong bans na nanggagaling sa Varsity Esports.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty interesting trivia right there. At the same time then, makita natin on the first couple of bans ng Naga, nirespect nila tong si Lando, immediately banning that Fiora and the Aurelia na possibly can be used by Lando to carry the game.
Meanwhile, looking at this first rotation of picks here, quick recap, Ezreal, John as well as the Camille. Tingnan natin kung magkakaroon ng success si Lando gaya ni Ibelis kanina sa match 1. So, for Naga Esports naman, quick recap din, Caitlyn, Zach as well as the Stars. Safer picks overall coming in from Naga Esports.
And I actually like that Camille pick coming from Varsity Esports kasi mas hindi na natin nakikita ngayon yung jungle Camille, but at the same time, it can be a flex. So, we'll see with the next two picks coming from Varsity kung saan talaga mapupunta tong Camille na to.
Well, looking at this, okay, quick touch up on the bans by the way. So, Sinch as well as Orin, heavy focus on the Ralph in the top lane for Naga. Meanwhile, LeBlanc, again, another target ban for Varsity here onto Emperor. One of the champions he was efficient at playing in the mid lane. Trundle, okay. But, okay, I'm not sure.
Hintayin natin.
Let's wait for that last pick. Pero what I will talk about is, kung nanonood kayo ng LBL streams, every time na ma-pick ang Zoe, na may-mention parati namin si Commissioner, and Chisto, especially if I'm casting with him, parang he always mentions the dialogue, Zoe versus Wu matchup. Sabi kasi ni Commissioner, this time we'll hear it from you straight off. How are you feeling about this matchup? Zoe versus Malzahar.
Okay, well, I think Malzahar is one of the good picks against Zoe. Kasi ang strength talaga ni Zoe is yung immediate burst damage na coming from pag natama ka ng bubble, then her Q. But usually, ang kasama sa combo na yun is yung ultimate niya to jump in to deal more damage. Pero dahil pinik nito yung Malzahar, pag lumusot si Zoe using her ult, isusuppress lang kagad siya, yung ult lang siya. So, mahuhuli kagad si Zoe. And if she ever steps too far forward away from her team, mabilis siyang mapipick off ng Naga.
So, we'll be talking about these compositions a little bit later on, especially as the matchups go along. Pero syempre, sa lahat ng nanonood ngayon sa ating Facebook Live at sa gaming.youtube.com/pagegarena. Let us know kung sino ang sinusuportahan nyo dito. Alam kong marami dyan sa inyo ang possibly supportado sa Varsity Esports ngayon dahil sa hashtag Lando Army. Mag-ingay kayo ngayon, Lando Army. Pakita nyo ang supportan nyo kay Lando. Or kung sa Naga Esports kayo, albeit their massive shakeup, the biggest change, walang natira actually. Hashtag Naga win rin tayo. Hashtag any win.
And actually, nakakatuwa din isipin yung roster change na gano'n ng Naga and also the roster from before na isa sila sa mga pro teams or organizations that keep picking up LCL and LVL talent.
Right, but this time around, I don't know. I'm not really sure with how this will go for Naga Esports because it's literally a full team, a full different team that was just put in to fill the void that was the departure of everyone pretty much else that was on Naga before. So that's the thing that kind of puzzles me here. I guess, then again, it's probably a smart way to go about it. Kasi if you're left with, let's say, kung meron pa mang natira like 1 or 2 members and having to implement a whole lot of new members, that's a risk in itself because of needing to establish synergy in such a short amount of time leading up to promotionals. Pero by acquiring a full roster like this, by Majestic Casual, at least andun kasing assurance na tested naman na may synergy sila. But the big question lies in whether or not, because Majestic Casual has struggled to qualify for the BGS, isn't enough at this point, given the number of cases that they've had.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And as of now, we can't really say kasi this is the first time that we'll be seeing them in probably a long while. And yeah, you could say na nakita na nating naglaro si Henry, naglaro si Cha in the LCL and the LVL. We know that these two players are mechanically gifted.
Yes.
But yun nga sabi mo nga, let's see if yung they've been together for a while. And for sure, dahil magkasama na sila, they get along really well. And if that would translate into a really good game plan for them and team synergy, it might just be enough for them to get a win against Varsity Esports.
One thing that I do realize with this roster for Naga is, kanina pa ako nag-isip, but parang may kulang dito sa roster ng Majestic Casual. And it just dawned on me upon you saying that once again. One player that they also played with noon sa MC at their prime, one of their strongest rosters was, surprise, Asidia was with them as well. So, with the absence of Asidia from this roster, I'm wondering if they lose on some of that firepower because we have pegged Asidia as one of the more up-and-coming top laners ever since.
Probably, but since I think 4 of them are from Majestic Casual, they still have that synergy and there might be a gank here in the top lane.
Yep, speaking of gank, that's gonna be rough. Using Venus as a propeller in a way to allow himself safety, but not bad.
Yeah, and that was good harass coming from Venus right there just to ensure that Lando will have the first shove and will have lane priority in that top lane for the first few minutes.
Oh man, meanwhile, looking at things towards this bot lane, take note, it is Za that is in the vicinity. Wants to try to get something in on Shana and Lyra, but looks like they're going to restrain themselves for a bit. They do have vision in that tribe rush, so good preemptive move. Oh, drowsy spell onto Henry. Might want to back away right now. Looks like Emperor going to get into a chunk, forcing Henry to back away.
Yeah, and I like what Emperor did right there. Seeing that Henry was trying to get that shove, so nung nakita niya magpipilitin na ni Henry yung shove and Henry was low on mana, he tried to get the harass. Tapos may isang pang part doon na some players would ask, bakit binato ni Zoe yung Q niya paharap? It's because there was a creep following the Zoe behind. So hindi niya makuha yung extra damage, extra distance, so sinigurado na lang niya tatama or maglalaan yung damage niya on that mouse.
Okay, hooked right up onto Lyra. Lyra just forced to back away, so that, I guess, oh wait, not Flash, but yeah, Arcane Shift rather, away out of that. So no harm done. Did take a few hits. Not to mention a little bit lower on mana, so might want to build up on gold sometime soon just so that we could eventually go back to clear, but they will catch out Za here, taking away cams from the side of Varsity Esports. Lyre not done just yet. Take note, he is low on mana. We'll get the save from Schnitzel, and he's going to be A-okay.
Yeah, and there's probably a trade here in the mid lane, and it just petered out. And yeah, right there, Cha going for that invade in the red side jungle of Varsity Esports, and kaya siya nag-invade doon and he got out safely because his team had the lane priority and bot lane, and syempre makakatulong din yung lantern ni Tresh para siya maka-get out cleanly.
Right Oh, Emperor looks like he wants to go for more. Let's see if he can maximize what mana he does have. Just one more first blood goes to Barcy Esports.
And wow, the early game strength talaga ni Zoe because of these balloons that you pick up. Swerte siya, nakakuha siya doon ng Proto Belt and he used it to great effectiveness, bursted down Henry and got the first blood.
Okay, meanwhile towards this top side here, looks like Ralph want to try to juke it out with Lando here. Bit of a tall order this matchup, but in all fairness, because Lando is one of the players that you have high expectations from, if Ralph actually manages to win this matchup, I'd actually be surprised because since Lando is considered one of the more potential up-and-coming top laners, to have someone challenge that, especially coming in this fresh into promotionals, would be quite the sight to behold.
Yeah, and we'll see if how will Ralph perform or match up with Lando. But at the same time, syempre, ang ating expectations would be for Lando to win this matchup just because of what we've seen from his performance on PGS. But if Ralph can contain Lando and even beat him in the top lane, it might be the edge that Naga Esports need to win this series.
Wow. Turret being pushed in, retreat coming in from Ralph so far. I've actually talked about Majestic Casuals for quite a bit. Now that I realize, looking at Barcy Esports' roster all the more, I keep on trying to restrain myself from saying the X-Rage part. Still quite used to it, but what I notice is that if you're gonna look, okay, hold off from that trivia right now because Henry almost getting locked down. Ultimate, unfortunately, not locking Venus within the turret range, so we'll back away quite safely. But yeah, as I was saying, looking at Barcy Esports' roster, this isn't like a roster that just came up out of the blue.
Yeah.
Looking at Shanna, Emperor, and Venus, they've actually worked together before on what was known as Trinix.
Oh.
So, Trinix Red, if I'm not mistaken. So, may history na itong roster na to together, somewhat like Majestic Casual. Ito yung dalawang team that was kind of rolling against each other during Piltovers in NCR, kung hindi ako nagkakamali. So, nice. It's interesting that they're facing each other once again here in promotionals. Probably with a few changes, like I mentioned, Naga missing out on Asiga to be the actual Majestic Casual. For this to be Trinix Red, missing out on Jaime or Isaac, or there's one more player that I'm missing out on, but that should do.
Yeah, and actually that's really good trivia right there. And in a way, kung sabihin mo nga that they were in Piltovers before, ngayon dito nga sila ulit nagkita. So, in a way, promotional siya to Conquerors. It kind of feels like Piltovers as well.
Baga, nandito na ako sa promotionals at sa wakas. May chance na ako mag-Yo Conquerors Manila. But speaking of Lando, almost getting caught by both Ralph and Za. Will manage to back away safely though. A lot of attempts. Lando, handa ka na ba sa round 2 though, because Za and Ralph are still there trying to contest, but that's why Venus is in the vicinity. If Lando decides to go for something, looks like we'll get the stun onto Za. Will there be any further pursuit though? Looks like that won't be the case.
Hinahamon talaga ni Lando itong top laner and jungler ng Naga for a fight. Pero hindi sila makakagat-end. Mukhang makikita dito si Venus.
Yep, Venus might want to back away. They wanted to take off that vision from Naga, but Naga was just right there, quite on top of things.
Yeah, and I would also like to talk about yung matchup din with Zoe and Malzar that I wasn't able to mention earlier. Also, one of the things that makes Malzar super tricky for any Zoe player is pag sinasama niya yung mga Voidlings niya, it can be used to block any projectile coming from Zoe. And at the same time, meron pang spell sheet si Malzar, so you can also block the trouble bubble, the sleepy trouble bubble. So it's really hard for Zoe to get a lot of her 1v1 kills against a Malzar, and at the same time Malzar does have that suppressed, but there are ways that Zoe can play around it just because of her superior range. But at the same time, Malzar is one of those picks that is, I could say, easier to navigate around when playing against a Zoe.
Wow. So far, past the level 6 mark, I'm waiting to see Naga Esports try to capitalize on Henry having that lockdown on the Zoe through his ultimate, but still yet to be seen. We haven't seen Za make a solid rotation towards this mid lane to push for that, but speaking of Za, making a gutsy move onto the jungle side of Barcy Esports, gonna try to clear out a few camps from Venus to the knife.
Yeah, and it's actually relatively safe for Za to be doing this right now since si Schnitzel kanina nag-walk around the red buff ng Varsity Esports. So, in a way, yung vision niya, alam na alam nila kung nasaan located itong Sejuani, yung Ezreal, and it was a pretty safe invade, I would say. But at the same time, medyo nagiging stale tong laban na to. I'm actually waiting for Za to pull the trigger, have a gank in the lane, and probably win that lane in their favor.
I'd have to agree with you, Crazy Apple, because habang tinitingnan ko yung composition ng magkabilang side, I mean, there's a lot of ways they could go for fights. Lando can dive in for a fight. Venus has tools to initiate a fight. Emperor, to an extent, if he could land his bubble, can start a fight. Naga as well. I mean, Za, it's a Zac.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of ways. Even Schnitzel to an extent on the stretch. So, very stale game. Very stale first 10 minutes that we're looking at.
Yeah, parang ito lang, makita natin, Zoe chunks out Henry, maglalaban si Lando and Ralph in the top lane. But at the same time, masasabi mo kasi this is the first game of this best of 3 series. So, if both teams are feeling each other out, trying to see who would make the first big mistake para maswing nila yung game into their favor.
Yeah, because both sides, I'm not sure if it's because they're boarding their time here or if they're playing just a little bit more calculated, or what might be the thing is they're playing it a bit too safe, given what composition prep they have, which I kind of feel might be the case kasi syempre, matagal na rin hindi nakapaglaro sa bigger competition itong dalawang team na to. So maybe it's just a feeling out game for them because usually ganun naman yung mga game ones natin eh. It's more of a feeling out process. Game to game play, doon na sila naging mas confident, bakbakan na kung bakbakan, yun.
Yeah, feeling ko nga lang in this kind of stale game, medyo mas nalulugi ang Naga Esports. Kasi you have this Mazar, yung level 6 spike niya is really, really good when it comes to ganking the lanes dahil doon sa suppression. And the longer the game goes, the more opportunity for Barcy to buy a QSS.
Okay, that is gonna be the Glacial Present to deny Vision take.
Yun na naman, they're still feeling each other out, trying to find that mistake.
Oh, okay. Tries to go for a play though. Luckily, Liar had his arcane shift up to make sure that he is a-okay, but so far very stale. I'd have to agree with you again. If I'm going to look at where potential action could have been happening for Naga, like what, ever since the 5 to 6 minute mark, could have been in the mid lane. I could imagine Za going for a gank, Henry going for the complementary lockdown. Speaking of lockdown, that's going to be a lockdown onto Lando. Here, taking a few turret shots, but he's going to be just fine again. Still, no casualties.
Well, at least there, we saw that Henry burned his flash as well as Lando. It was a really good flash coming for Henry. Immediately respecting the engage coming from that Camille, yung exec ultimatum niya, would have trapped him there, and probably he could have died based on just the damage output that a Zoe can dish out. But at the same time, yun na naman eh, medyo half-hearted yung engages, but we'll see if kayang ma-punish ng Varsity Esports yung lack of flash ni Henry, since they also have another engage too in that Sejuani.
Schnitzel trying to make the attempts, but hasn't been as fruitful. So that's a bit of a shame though, especially if you're going to look at this Caitlyn Thresh bot lane. A lot of opportunity to try to push for fights, but not too much success for Schnitzel so far. Hopefully a little bit later on, but 30 minutes definitely still looking stale.
Yeah, pero parang, mapapansin mo, may mga players on both teams na nangangati na eh. Gusto nang lumaban, pero hindi talaga lumilitaw yung laban na hinahanap nila eh. Si Lando, naghahanap ng pick in the mid lane. Si Schnitzel, pangalawang beses na natin nakitang nag-went for that risky hook. Pero kasi, he's going against an Ezreal na magandang escape. Going against this Janna that can disengage almost any fight. And yeah, talagang these two teams right now are just looking for that scaling.
Looks like in the midst of the stale game, Naga Esports finding an opportunity by going for this Rift Herald. So I think finally, unless Naga Esports allows it to expire, which I highly doubt, that could potentially be a point wherein we start seeing some form of action. Because once that Rift Herald is down, Varsity Esports will be forced to respond. I gotta get rid of that. Goodness.
It's a habit. Actually, that when you say the Varsity, it rolls off the tongue really well.
It's like a muscle reflex on my tongue that wants to get the X-Rage off. Oh man. But anyway, so far, wondering how Za's going to be utilizing this Rift Herald though, because so far, it could pretty much use it in almost any lane. I feel that in terms of where it might benefit them though, definitely either towards top or bottom, because unless we see one of these ADs make a rotation, speaking of Za finally making the play that I've been waiting for, that's going to be Ralph as well, and gets a kill onto Emperor. Thank you, Naga Esports.
Thank you, Naga Esports, for giving us that amount of action right there, killing Emperor. And I believe that Henry's ultimate got cancelled. I'm not sure if because he got hit by a bubble, but there's more fighting happening in the mid lane.
Yes, Venus trying to hold Zod down. Liar slowly making his way towards this mid lane though. Can he make it in time to make relevance? Nice! True shot barrage landing in, sniping Henry, and looks like Ralph might be the next casualty here, so BE recovered just fine in a 2-for-1.
Nakaamoy do ng dugo ang Barcy Esports and went for that punish on Naga Esports, knowing siguro, I think they knew where most of the members were. They knew they could have a numbers advantage right there, and Liar would just snipe on, I think it was Ralph. It was pretty good, and I'm not sure nga lang if any of these teams could convert it to an objective.
I think that's the tricky thing. At that point, given that Keith as well as Schnitzel were already backing, I think that could have been an opportunity to, okay, better late than never, hopefully, for Barzi. They do go for a dragon here. So first dragon of the game going to be going to BE. So far, so good for BE. Finally, nakita na yung proactivity, but what I do find interesting is it came from Naga, but swayed towards Barzi in the end.
Yeah, kasi may mga moments talaga when it comes to these proactive plays, to these macro plays, especially when you're trying to get a kill and get the objective. Numbers advantage din yun eh. Who has the numbers advantage at that point? And at first, Naga Esports had the numbers advantage. They summoned their top laner, their mid laner, and their jungler. Okay, napatay natin si Emperor. What's the next step? Usually, the next step with that, dapat palating na rin yung bot lane nyo so that the siege could commence. Especially, you have that Rift Herald, which would be really, really good at destroying towers. Pero nahuli sila, and at that time, Barcy just had 4 members showing up or contributing to that fight, which gave them that win.
I think that was the point that I was trying to make earlier. Like, I was kind of talking about how Za, what would be the optimal lane to utilize it naturally, potentially towards top or bottom, just because they have those ADs through the Jax, through the Caitlyn, through top and bot respectively. Mid, probably not as much, unless nga nagkaroon ng response from the rest of the lanes to go just full-on hard push in this mid. But yun nga, since hindi nakasunod agad si Keith and Schnitzel, medyo naging short-changed yung opportunity na yun.
Yeah, but in a way, it's also been a trade for Naga din. Na, yes, they lost 2 members. They got 1 kill. They still got the mid lane third, which most of the time means that you opened up the map. You can now go deeper into the enemy jungle, put down some wards, try to catch out maybe Venus, maybe some yung jungler or yung support like Shanna if she's in transition to move in between lanes. So there's a lot more options na for Naga to make more plays. But at the same time, tinitignan natin ngayon yun. Kasi if you look at the minimap right now, hindi ganun kaganda din ang vision control ng Naga.
Oh, meanwhile, looks like 2v, make that a 2v1 right now. Going in really hard onto Ralph. That's going to be the kill. Teleport had to be cancelled by Henry. So that's going to be another kill onto Barcy Esports as well. So we're slowly seeing Barcy making the plays here.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if this would give the tower for Barcy. They're going for the tower dive.
Yep, that's going to be a Let's Bounce. Lando and Venus wanting to bring it on in this fight. Venus takes quite a bit of damage. That's going to be Elastic Slingshot. Can Venus last this out in time? Looks like going to walk towards Lando once again. Za has to back away, might have to give up this turret to Barcy Esports because Emperor already made his way towards the top side. Meanwhile, looks like it's going to be a fight. Schnitzel getting the full in on of the true shot barrage. Looks like will be enough for them to escape though, luckily. Might force them to back away as Liar and Shauna are now going to be on the siege.
Yeah, and biglang na-turn on the switch ang Barcy Esports right here. Both sides of the map trying to go for that aggressive play. And I actually really like yung ginawa ni Zadon. He backed off knowing or probably seeing that Emperor was heading up to that top side, and if he stayed there, he might have gone down.
You know what I'm struggling with here is, if you're gonna look at it, Naga Esports should not have allowed this to happen just because they have a lot more to work with within the earlier parts of the game to potentially start Barcy Esports on the wrong foot of this game. But as you've been mentioning, since it was a bit of a stale first 10 to actually like first 10 to 14 minutes of the game, wherein not as much action happening. Not necessarily because Naga Esports wasn't trying to do anything, but there wasn't as much success towards what activity they were trying to push. So at the end of the day, now that we're in a phase where in Varsity Esports, it's pretty much Varsity Esports' time to shine.
Yeah.
It might be tricky for Naga Esports from here on out unless they could find that project pickup that they need to get there.
Yeah, and at the same time, I think Naga Esports din naman has a lot of chances to get back into this game, and there's going to be a gap in the bot lane.
Oh man, that is just not good for Keith. Did not stand a chance there.
Yeah, and I think Keith overstayed his welcome right there. Masyado siyang matagal sa bot lane, and now Barcy has a numbers advantage, and they might be able to get this mid lane turret.
Varsity Esports though, lingering. Oh no, this is very dangerous. Mission impossible for the Sejuani with 4 members of Naga Esports on Venus' tail. Can't even make it out alive though. Continuing to run out. Here comes Lando to try to help out that Sejuani. It looks like mission impossible is indeed possible, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that sneaky Sejuani right there, just outrunning everyone from Naga. Unlucky for Varsity. Well, lucky now they're about to get this mid lane turret. But at the same time, they could have gotten it earlier. They only had that minion wave. At the same time, nice trade for Barcy right there. Venus getting the attention of Naga.
Baron is live right now, take note. So, not to mention Dragon as well within the next minute. So, 2 objectives up for the taking. And take note as well, even though we had a slower pace to this game, because of Barcy's proactivity, has been rewarded with a 5-1, not to mention almost a 5,000 gold deficit, playing around that 5,000. So far, so good. Let's go ahead and check out what's the salvaging factor for Naga. Everyone is pretty much not in the best situation in terms of where they stand in KDA, but it's not necessarily a lost cause, without a doubt. It's still within manageable width, I'd say. It's probably just much more of a challenge in terms of having less margin for error at this point.
At this point, I think, well, Naga can still get back into this game because only one member from Barcy has bought that QSS, and it's only been Liar. Emperor still doesn't have a QSS, doesn't really have a way to get out of that suppression. So if Naga can find a way to get a pick using that Malzahar, then they could crawl their way back and lessen that gold lead. But at the same time, kasi ngayon, Naga also needs, kind of like they're in the waiting game. Kasi they're also waiting for this Caitlyn to scale. And from popularly, in a way, Caitlyn needs to get to that 3-item power spike para siya talaga maging effective. And while this, on the other hand, this Ezreal already has that 2-item power spike.
Yep, but Varsity Esports in the meantime actually managed to find Schnitzel here. Just the instant lockdown. Liar will be getting the kill. Looks like Varsity want even more, but the numbers are looking pretty good for Naga Esports. That's going to be the decimation onto Venus. Can they go for more? No, they're going to have to back away for now, but will content themselves in a 1-for-1 jungler for support.
Yeah, and I think that's a better trade for Barcy right now because they have control. They can shove that mid lane wave and probably put more wards into the jungle of Naga.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, Liar, very gutsy arcane shift in just to get a few hits onto Keith, and he hurt there. Already almost half health taken away from Keith. And all the more pressure coming in from Barcy across the lanes, by the way. Just all across the board.
Yeah, and very curious tong build ngayon ni Emperor on that Zoe. Medyo bihira ko na nakita that the second item is that Proto Belt. I do get why you would get the Proto Belt on Zoe because when you pop out using a Proto Belt, you get a lot more burst damage. Lalo na nakita natin he has that electrocute, which really translates that he wants to assassinate someone.
Given the situation though, I mean, as our resident Zoe main, do you feel that this would be an optimal direction to go for at this time?
To be honest, I think I would have went with more damage, more flat damage in either the death cap. But I also get why you would get the Proto Belt in the situation since ang worry na ni Emperor since hindi ko bumibili ng QSS is the damage coming from enemy, coming from the Malzahar. And that extra durability might just be enough para hindi siya ma-one-shot ni Henry. And actually right now he's going for the Sheen, which probably translates to going for the Lich Bane. So more burst damage on top of that.
Oh man, it's like Naga Esports starting to clear out vision from the side of Barcy Esports because that's the last thing that they want at this point. Giving control over to this Baron side that would otherwise propel VE to just taking it all the way home, because we're still seeing an instance where this gold is clawing its way up in differences between the two sides here. But at the end of the day, I'm still waiting for that opportunity for Zaw where he could make a really good play. Not just necessarily Zaw, maybe Schnitzel to an extent as well.
Yeah. And actually, I'll use again that word stale. Like this Naga game right now, ang stale ng gameplay nila. They have 3 members technically who could start a fight, who could make plays on that Malzahar, Henry on that Malzahar, Schnitzel on that Thresh, and Shaw on that Zac. Pero hindi natin gano'n nakikita na sila talaga yung gumagawa ng madaming proactive play and capitalizing on those proactive plays. And I think that's one of the reasons why right now Naga has found itself in this hole that they're in right now, while Barcy is just waiting for Naga to make mistakes, and they're just poking them down, getting more items, getting more gold. And I'm still waiting for Naga to make a proactive play. One of these flip pushes.
Yautza! Ooh, Emperor, instant delete on Keith. Let's see if Zaw can make something of this, because the rest of Naga are ready for the rest back. Let's bounce. Not able to connect onto Emperor, but he's still on the run. Schnitzel can actually make something of this. Full locking coming in from Henley. Shanna might actually be a casual see herself as well. Might want to go on the run, but take note, action is happening elsewhere on the snap as Lando manages to take down Ralph in exchange. And will reward themselves with the second tier Cherubim spot win.
Well, yeah, Naga right there did a proactive play. Tried to punish the split pushing Zoe, who doesn't really have any escape, while the Zoe just killed Eve, assassinating him essentially. But at the same time, Barcy did get two second tier towers, which opens up the map a lot more for them.
Oh man, this is looking like quite the build up for Barcy. Take note, we were playing around 5 earlier towards the start of their ascent. We're now looking at 8. If this goes beyond 10, it's going to be even harder for Keep to ramp up on this Caitlyn. Yeah. Even though by the minutes, we might be in late game, where he is in terms of itemization, not exactly be the case.
Yeah, exactly. And also, yung double tier build talaga ng Ezreal ngayon. That's why when Kai'Sa is banned, I think Ezreal is the top tier ADC. Kasi itong double tier build niya talaga scales super well because he has AD scaling, he has AP scaling, he has physical damage, he has magic damage. So, pag binildan mo talaga siya nitong Archangel staff, it just boosts up his damage a lot more.
Oh man, 8-3 right now. Let's see if Naga Esports can look for the opportunity. Because in all fairness, if you're going to look at how Barcy Esports has been across this map, they have been constantly scattered. Yeah. Which is why all the more reason for Naga Esports to try to look for those opportunities. Sure, they might potentially be risking control of Baron if they seek it towards the bottom side, but they have opportunities even towards the top side. Emperor has pretty much been up and at it in the top lane for the past few minutes or so.
Yeah, and medyo mabagal yung game. Probably, we really feel that it's super slow kasi compared to the game earlier against Archangel and IPT, it just felt like ang daming laban tuloy-tuloy. But hindi naman dahil sa mabagal tong game na to that both teams aren't really exactly doing anything. I think more on Barcy recognizes the fact na madaming engage opportunities itong Naga, and that's why they keep pulling the map in such a way that they do a 1v1 strategy, and they just keep trying to poke out Naga so that they could get the objectives. So in a way, the staleness of this game is not due to Barcy playing this badly in a way, but mostly Naga not really capitalizing on probably the strength of their call.
Ooh, jeez. Actually, might try to go for Venus here. Can it even pick up? No, unfortunately, no follow-up in the vicinity for Naga. Not to mention, Liar and Shanna were towards the top side, so could have broken out into a bigger fight either way. Meanwhile, Naga might want to go for the defense here because turret is being taken almost near half. Take note, Lando is also pushing towards this bottom side. Both top laners have their teleport up.
Yeah, and Barcy right now has it changed up a bit of their strategy. Instead of a 1v1, they went for a 3-1-1 since the only second tier turret left ay yung nasa top side. So now, Barcy will slowly take down this tower and probably would threaten the Baron after a few more minutes.
Well, we're seeing more of a shove out here. Elastic slingshot right in the zone. Looks like, oh, Zaw unfortunately not able to land the left bounce. It looks like more action is happening towards this bottom side right here. Emperor actually landing a few skill shots here. A lot of no health members from Naga Esports trying to play this out. Ralph tries to make something of the backline of Esports, but looks like he might pay the price by overextending his reach, and that's going to be the full-on ace for Barcy Esports.
And that is the ace for Barcy, only losing Venus in that fight. And I gotta commend Venus right there, because if you see his ultimate, it actually hit Keith. So Keith was stunned for like 3 seconds and couldn't deal any damage in that fight. And Barcy right here might just opt to end the game.
Yes, looks like they could easily go for these nexus. Way too heavy death timers for Naga Esports to respond. And I think we have a clear winner here, Crazy Apple, because for match 2 game 1, I'd say kahit bagong break sila ng Rage Esports, Barcy still has it for game 1.
Yeah, and congratulations to Barcy Esports taking the first game of this best of 3 series.
Man. It could either go both ways here. Alala ko, pagdating sa relasyon, pag bagong break kayo, you could look at it both ways. Either hayaan mo yung sarili mo na malunod sa lungkot ng kakabit, or you're gonna use it into the challenge to say, I'm the strong, independent one in this. That's Barcy Esports right there.
So parang bang ito yung pangbawi nila?
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. But realistically, let's break down what happened there, because I feel like at that point, even if Naga Esports had, I'd say, a safe standard composition.
Yeah.
They had a lot to work with, but even with those tools, wasn't maximized at all in that early game.
Yeah, I gotta agree right there. And when he was playing in the LVL, he would usually play a lot of these initiation champions, like Jarvan, and right there, the Zac. And we've seen that he was put on a champion that he's actually comfortable with. But I think doon mo makikita yung sinasabi natin na baguhan, laro lang nila ulit in this kind of stage.
Yes.
Medyo yung jitters, medyo yung indecisiveness, and sometimes we can see na nawawala yon throughout the series. This is a best of 3 series, and if in game 2 they can shore up those mistakes and be more decisive, be more proactive in the following game, then I think they have a huge chance against Barcy.
I highly agree with you, Crazy Apple. Kumbaga, if earlier during match 1, ang nagiging issue natin right off the bat is the lack of caution in drafting. This time around, okay, I'd say sizable in draft. It's pretty much within safer standards. You know what to expect as far as textbook win conditions. It's just that execution, as Vulcan likes to say, wasn't quite there towards living up to that. So, any final thoughts, by the way? How are you feeling about this match, by the way?
I think, well, we've seen Lando. Lando has been pretty good, but I gotta say Ralph didn't really do that bad. Like,
I'd agree.
Yeah, and Ralph held his own. I'd probably be more looking into Naga just taking more fights, because I think in the early game, yes, Barcy is really good mechanically, but I don't think that their players we can just scoff at them for their mechanical talent as well. So just play it more proactively with more confidence, and we might see a more competitive game coming to game 2.
In all fairness, nonetheless, after game 1, very promising showing from both sides here. I'd like to see a lot more from Naga Esports. I mean, I've been seeing Majestic Casual perform in the Piltovers before. I feel like this is finally their time to shine. Hopefully, they make the most of it. So, good luck to both teams. Of course, when we come back, Game 2, can Naga Esports, with the flushed-out roster, with the new one, make a comeback? We'll just have to see. We've casters, Arctic at your service. With me is the LVL Commissioner, Crazy Apple. See you guys again for game number 2. More of a shove out here. Elastic slingshot right in the zone. Looks like, Zone Fortune not able to land the left bounce. It looks like more action is happening towards this bottom side right here. Emperor actually landing a few skill shots here. A lot of health members from Naga Esports trying to play this out. Ralph tries to make something of the backline of Esports, but looks like he might pay the price by overextending his reach, and that's going to be the full-on ace for Barcy Esports.
And that is the ace for Barcy, only losing Venus in that fight to end the game.
Yes, looks like they could easily go for these nexus. Way too heavy death timers for Naga Esports to respond. And I think we have a clear winner here, Crazy Apple, because for match 2 game 1, I'd say kahit bagong break sila ng Rage Esports, Barcy still has it for game 1.
Yeah, and congratulations to Barcy